Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new edition of Low Code Cafe. And actually, this is a special edition. For those of you that are new to this webinar, we usually do this as a community technical webinar where we do hands-on low coding, showing, demoing various features. But today, since it's a special edition and we have a big announcement to make, we'll change the format a bit. So we'll discuss more about the big announcement and the context behind it. Have an open conversation about it. And then in the second part, we'll move to the hands-on part, but today instead of building something from scratch, we'll review what we've built so far, which is a powerful, flexible marketing system. So before I make the big announcements to create some anticipation towards that, I will give you a bit of context how we arrived in this position. So probably most of you already know me. I'm Bogdan Litescu. I founded DNN Sharp 14 years ago. So it's a long journey for us. And I've been running it since. I mean, it was 14 years of very good experiences, good technology, very good interactions, creating friendships even. You know, when we first started on DNN, there was a big gap between where DNN was at that stage from a technology perspective, especially from the front-end technologies like Angular, Bootstrap, jQuery before that. So we were the pioneers to bring those in DNN and create like a new wave of a new generation of modules, which became the standards, others followed, and we took DNN to a whole new level. And that brought us to be the #1 vendors by 2014. You probably saw these messages, emails. We keep pestering you with Plant an App. So what is Plant an App and why you should know about Plant an App? So let me give you a bit of context about that. I never saw DNN as being just a CMS, right? I mean, if you want just the content management part, there are many other solutions out there that are simplified just for the purpose of managing content. Now, DNN truly shines, and what many of our customers do is building a website maybe, but also the back office system that powers that website. So in the back office system, you have data, you have processes, workflow, business logic, and also integrations with third parties, right? So that is where it truly shines. And selling it as a CMS, I think it does very, very little help to sell it, to make it, to increase adoption of DNN, basically. So this way of building smart, let's call them smarter websites or web applications, however you want to call it, used to be called rapid application development back in the day, maybe 5-10 years ago. But nowadays, there's a much better term for it, and it's what we've been building with Plant an App, low-code development. And again, before moving to the big announcement, let me give you a bit of context. Why is low-code important, and why we should all be looking at it? Because you'll see, if you don't already suspect, that DNN and DNN Sharp is positioned so well to perform on that low-code market. So let me share a bit my screen with you. And instead of just talking about it, I'm going to show you how big low-code is and how hot it is, right? So I'm going to share some articles. So for example, this one just came today in my inbox. So, so before that, maybe I should also mention that it's low code, but there's also the concept of no code, which basically you can build software, but without writing code. So similar to how you build forms without writing code, but then when you move to more complex stuff, let's say you put a SQL action in that form, that's when you write code. So that's low code. So getting back, this is came today in my inbox. Upwork just raised $207 million to keep evolving their platform, right? I'm not sure if you know this platform. I haven't used it so far. It's on our radar, but again, it's the same concept. And they go after enterprises. So helping enterprise build these systems much faster without employing the traditional development team to build everything from scratch. Another example, this was, I think, around a month ago, Airtable. So if you don't know, Airtable is like a fancier spreadsheet software. So they raised 185 million, right, to add low-code features on top of their spreadsheet software, right? So they want to move from the no-code space into low-code space, and they got 185 million for that. And also, like this article on TechCrunch speaks about the bigger context, like how much money all the companies in the local space will raise this year. Just an estimate of 500 million in 2020. I think we already see that maybe we are past behind that, so it's a lot more. And why is low code so hard? Because it helps deliver systems much faster and at reduced cost. You only write the code that matters, right? You don't write all the code that has been written over and over again. So you have a much more accelerated time frame to going live with a system, to deploy a system. So this is just a story in the context that we all got used to living, the COVID. During these days, and especially early days, but even now, low code was the hero, right? Because out of a sudden you have a big problem to solve, and which creates other smaller problems across organizations, across local government, across all sectors, and you need software solutions fast to adapt to it. Because if you don't have software solutions, it results in a chaos, especially at this magnitude, right? Because this is not a small thing that affects 10 employees in an organization. So yeah, low code was the hero of these days. And then the broader context is because it's so helpful and changes the paradigm completely, VCs, so venture capitalists, are looking at investing into low code, right? If you look like content management systems, so as DNN advertises today, you'll see that it's very little action. Investors don't look at that market. It's overcrowded. It's a lot of players. It's established market. But when you look at low code, you see investment coming every day. And much more than investments, you'll see, and I think I have some articles here, you'll see new players coming into this market. Like Google acquired AppSheet this year, and they actually had a low-code solution that they retreated to replace it with AppSheet, right? You probably know Amazon. They released Honeycode a couple of months ago. So it's a lot of big players moving into this market. It's not established yet. It's not a red ocean, how they call it, with too many players or too many big players. So there is still room for everyone, to get into this market and capture various niches or even broader audiences. So that's the context, and that's, you see, very hot, very big market, and DNN and DNN Sharp is very good fit for that. And that's exactly why we created Plant an App. We saw this, that going after CMS doesn't help anyone, right? We cannot differentiate ourselves, we keep telling some stories that don't resonate with the large population out there, with the large needs that organizations have. But low code, on the other hand, is something that people resonate. People want to build software faster, want to have solutions faster, want to have shorter feedback loops, right? Like have a meeting and change the software right in that meeting, not schedule another sprint for having it done later in 1 month or so, right? So yeah, the market is hot, it's not formed yet. So it's we want to move into this market, and we started, but we need to move fast, right? Because maybe 1 year from now or 2 years from now, I think the market will also already be mature, and it will be too late for us to make an entry, right? So the timing is now. And now we are getting to our big announcements in the context of everything that I told you so far. We decided to raise money as well to accelerate our activities, so sales, marketing, development, support activities, to capture this market, right? Because I mean, we know how to bootstrap. We didn't take any investment for 14 years, but moving at a very slow pace. We want to capture this market now. And instead of going through traditional VCs, we decided to open an investment campaign for our community that we've been together for many years. We trust each other. We accomplished wonderful things together. So what we did, we released a equity crowdfunding campaign. It just went live yesterday. And to give you a bit of context about what equity crowdfunding means, basically, it's an instrument regulated by the SEC in the United States. And how it works is that anyone can invest money as little as $150, right? So it really opens the way for anyone to contribute with a small piece, you know, and not just about contribute, because this is an investment, right? So it will have a return on investment, and hopefully that will be 100 times of what you invest, and that's where we thrive. Yes, we want to make Plant and App a multi-billion company, right? So this is the big announcement, and I invite you all to invest in us, in our success, because our success translates in us building better, more technology and faster, you know, and get it to you so you can reap the benefits, build system for you or for your customers, and everybody wins. So I will just go a bit over this Republic campaign to explain various aspects of it. And I also invite you, I don't have the chat window open yet, but I invite you to engage with us on chat, but also I will invite personally to speak some people in this webinar, because I do have other announcements to make. Cool. So just to give you a brief overview of this campaign page, and this is something that we'll post in the chat so you can find it quickly. Okay, so then I will get back to the top part. There will be some highlights here. Maybe perhaps many of you already know that we've been in the 500 Startups program in San Francisco from October last year until March this year. March was not a good time to be in San Francisco, but yeah, we managed and we did well after that. So then there will be some highlights with what we've accomplished so far. All the numbers are public, so our revenue is public, some information about the market. What's important, what I want to highlight here is that there will be some confusion between Plant and App and DNN Sharp, right? We know that. And basically, to put it simple, probably 1 year from now, DNN Sharp will not exist as a brand anymore. It will still exist as technology, as the modules. You still be able to get at least some of the popular modules separately. But most of our activity will be Plant and App, and the modules will be included in Plant and App, as they are today, of course, evolved 1 year later. So yes, there will be a lot of confusion, but what I wanted to say here actually is that today, Plant and App generates already 70% more revenue than all the DNN Sharp licenses combined, right? So that's a strong validation for us that yes, we have a good product, yes, we have a good market, we have a good fit on that market, and the purpose of raising this money is to scale up, right? We need to scale up, first of all, our sales and marketing efforts, and then powered by our development, training, onboarding, and product development efforts. Cool. And then there will be a lot of text, many of which I touched briefly, but I invite you to read not just this page, but about low code in general, because it's so hot and so interesting. And the stories that you read, you know, they are so amazing. Like I have a story that I like to tell always. It's about, let's see, do we have, we don't have Mike here? No, we don't have. So we have a customer in Denver, Vail Health Hospital. So basically they came to us at the beginning of the year because they had this big problem in their community, a high suicide rate, right? Especially among teenagers. So the hospitals and other organizations in the local community decided to create a budget of 60 million, I believe, to create a program that helps people, you know, provide free therapy sessions to everyone. You know? But of course, they needed a software system to manage the program. So on one hand, you have vendors that come and get onboarded, they get verified, their accreditations get verified, the background checks are run. And on the other part, you have the citizens, the patients, let's call them, that come into the system to ask for help. So then matchmaking, session management, and of course, billing in the end. And this is a story where being able to deliver a system faster than you do it traditional development means saving lives, right? So that's why I'm saying that low code creates such beautiful stories in the world. Cool. Okay, so moving back to the page, you'll see on the left there are documents. So again, everything is transparent about this campaign because it's regulated by the SEC. Everything that we communicate, we have to communicate publicly. So you'll not hear me say something that I will not say publicly because that will be considered insider trading, right? So everything is here, like Form C is like the all the documentation that we submitted to SEC, but then you also have the financial instrument that you'll invest with, the terms, so they are all here. So besides investing in our company and owning a stake in the company and in the future success of our company, there are also some perks. So depending on the amount you invest, you will get various perks, right? And perks vary from, the lowest commitment, which is $150, will get you a big thank you and a gratitude from us, from our team, and from everyone in community, because this is a win-win for everyone. But then as we move forward, we created other perks to cover very, very varied needs related to low code, right? Like the next one, it's about training people into low code, because again, here are some interesting stories with either junior developers, that start with low code and within weeks or months, they get to deliver, big system, enterprise grade systems, which normally they wouldn't be able to do, maybe in a few years, right? This is on one hand, but on the other hand, you have people that are not in IT, they are not included in the digital economy. I like to call them the Uber drivers, right? So this really gives them a chance to get into the IT world with a short training, and start producing software systems, which is spectacular when you think about it. So basically with this perk, you can be part of a training, or you can nominate or let us find somebody to be part of that training into low code. Then there are other perks. Some are related to speaking in this webinar, speaking about your business, then more follow into the product side, right? Like some include licensing, some also include services, like us delivering a live system, like an MVP or a proof of concept system for the investor. One other perk that I would like to point out, let's see, which one was it? Was the this one, the 10,000 one. This is about a concept that we are toying with, which I think will be huge, right? Is the concept of low code agency, right? So as today you have outsourcing agencies, there are one thing, then you have a system integrator kind of agencies, you have consultant kind of agencies. We pioneer this new concept called low code agency, right? That is able to deliver systems with low code, but not necessarily by themselves, right? Because our goal is to go after people. So let's say it's a consultant at a Big 4 company, right? So he wants to have like a side business, and he already does some side consulting. That's what all consultants do, right? But now he or she can sell a low code solution, by having provided by us a framework to do that. And not just the framework, but also the tools and access to people to do that, right? Like they would sign a customer, let's say in healthcare, and they will have a code builder from us to generate the code, and then they will have access to our pre-sales engineering team to arrange a demo, and afterwards they will have access to our partner network to find somebody to do the implementation, right? So then there's two ways we can scale this business. One is to invest in sales, go after enterprises, but the smarter way is to build a proper partner channel, which has been our success for the past 14 years. In DNN space, that's the profile of most of our customers. So then it's a win-win for everybody. Somebody sells the system, somebody implements the system, and we provide support for all of them. Cool. So there will be a lot of content here, many of which you'll also find on the PlanTanApp website and even on the DNN Sharp website, about the product, about the problem space, about the features that it has. So I will not go through those. You'll get to see them in the second part of this webinar anyway. And yeah, so here, for example, I was telling you about our partners from DNN Sharp. We have over 4,000 partners that we worked with over the past 14 years. So we already have a big network partners that we want to convert to PlanTanApp. Cool. So I think one last thing I would like to say, and I will scroll back to the top, is that we just released this yesterday, and we got our first investor. And our first investor, actually, I invited him to be our #1 fan. So he's been with DNN Sharp for a long year, and he really loves the technology. We really love him. So a big shout out to Jerry Mattox. And Jerry Mattox, if you want to say a few words, I would be happy to hear from you.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, Jerry, we can hear you.
Thank you, Bogdan. I can't speak enough volume about you personally and DNN Sharp. As you know, I've been around for a really long time. And ironically, Bogdan, the reason why I got involved with DNN and DNN Sharp in the first place was because I've been a professional computer programmer since 1982. And you can just imagine the legacy from 1982 to present day, how many different languages I've learned to program in. And, I don't want to go back in a big history channel, but back in the day when every single thing was coded, we took a lot of pride in being these super brainiac computer programmer types. And we almost wanted to code to a point where we could validate ourselves, so to speak, as being a super programmer. Well, fast forward 30 years, and that's the last thing I want to do is prove my manhood by being a computer programmer. I want to low code everything so I can go out and race my motocross bike or go run or do whatever I want to do. You had alluded to that earlier, that low coding kind of gives us our lifestyles back. And unlike a lot of programmers of the early days, I'm not a lab rat. I don't like to live in a cooped up in a little room coding all day. So when I saw DNN and I saw DNN Sharp many years ago, that technically was low coding for me right out of the box, because I could use Action Form or Action Grid or my tokens, and I could go in and write SQL scripts. And basically, I almost discontinued my entire C# programming in Visual Studios and replaced it with your technology. And so the natural next progression for me would be to step out of, to go to another level of low code, so to speak. And I'm super pumped to start maybe seeing how that transition is going to happen for me. I'll lean on you heavily to guide me through the process, but yeah, so, I can't help but tell anyone that if you're in the business of programming and you're in the business of using DNN Sharp products to program, you're not investing in DNN Sharp as much as you're investing in your own career and your own self. And that's the way I see it. I need you, Bogdan. I need DNN Sharp. I need PlanTanApp. I need it to stay alive. So, I'm all in. So, you can consider me a partner as much as a great customer. So that's my story. And thank you very much, Bogdan, for all you do and all of your support team. I know them all by first names, and I won't go down the list, but they know me. If they've talked to me, all I can say is a huge thank you for all you do.
Thanks, Jerry, so much. And we appreciate you as well. We love you just as much. And thank you for being with us for so many years.
Awesome.
Yeah. So just to address a question from the chat, is PlanTanApp a fork of the DNN platform? So no, and speaking a bit about migrating to PlanTanApp, it's as easy as installing a new module, right? So we built a new module that you install on a DNN instance or on Evoke. that basically acts as the oh, sorry, I shouldn't be used that word anymore. Acts as the main module, that orchestrates all of our other modules, right? So install the app builder, and app builder takes care of downloading action form, action green, my tokens, the right versions, right? So they are as dependencies, let's call them. When you install it, it will not affect anything you have on an existing instance, right? So it will still continue working as before, but you'll have a new administration screen as you go into that screen and start using the new features, like let's say entity builder, creating the database model, or defining some more complex workflows, or setting up the GitHub integrations or so on. That's when you start seeing maybe changes in the application, but only if you allow those changes, right? Like if you create a workflow, that doesn't affect anything unless you go maybe to use that workflow in a form, for example, right? So from that perspective, it's a very smooth transition path. So I would like to have to continue having some open conversations. So I see we have Hans with us in the webinar. I didn't prepare for this, but I know Hans has been using Mendix, so one of the big players in the low-code space for many years, in parallel with DNN Sharp. So I wonder, Hans, if you can give us your personal feeling of how you feel that DNN Sharp compares to Mendix, and if we really have a chance to make this big.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Hans.
Okay, I think I'm a certified Mendix developer, that's correct. And I'm working for large companies building Mendix low-code platform applications. And I think the difference is that Mendix, his license model is fit and made fit for large companies, and the companies behind the small, medium companies who has a lot of needs of automation, which can be done with low-code platform, are too expensive to use Mendix. So I think in our market where we are targeting the low-code of the small, medium enterprises, there is a large opportunity to use DNN Sharp, dependent app builder software to make great successful applications in a fast and qualitative, high quality way. So there is a lot of opportunity, I think, because Mendix, but also OutSystems, which is another low-code platform, are targeting on the top, the big 5 companies, and not the market where we as consultants can target our applications.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot for this perspective, Hans. And yes, so I talked to Hans, I think last year and again this year a couple of times, and he presented this perspective that makes sense. All the low-code platforms, they go after the big enterprises, right? So they leave a big gap in the small and medium enterprise space, which we can fill very well with our pricing model. So that's a very good point. Thanks, Hans.
You're welcome.
Cool. Cool. So I think I have a lot of more people that I would like to invite to talk, but feel free if you want to say something about how you feel. Just I think they have Zoom has a raise hand, so I can give you permission to talk. I also see Mark Allington in this webinar, so I know he's I think one of the newest people to convert from DNN Sharp to Plantain App. So I would love, Mark, to hear, I mean, I already know your perspective on low-code and moving forward, but I would like if you can share a few words with the community.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. No, this sounds like a really good idea, and I'll fully support what you're trying to do with this. I think it is the future. I think that businesses certainly need professional developers to be able to use this as part of their suite to say, look, you can have amazingly high quality solutions without having to, go the old-fashioned, more traditional approach. I mean, where you need to break out into more traditional coding, that's still fine, especially integrations with other technologies, APIs, and so forth. But this is a game changer. I'm really excited to be a part of it.
Thanks, Mark. And we are excited. We have plans with Mark to do something big in the UK. So you'll probably see a lot of news coming from this front as well. I see we also have in the webinar Mitchell Seller, sorry. So I want to take advantage of him because you all know him as a technology guru and very, very deep connections in the DNN space and the .NET space and the Microsoft space. So I would really love Mitch, if you can tell us about you run across low-code. How do you feel it's DNN and DNN Sharp a good fit for that space?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to kind of see where this goes. I am traditionally doing a lot of work on edge cases. So, we have a lot of our customers that are, on the very high end of things where, the low code solutions typically aren't going to be able to perform or do other things. But then we get a lot of these ones where, the low code scenario is exactly what they're looking for. So for us, it's not a huge area of emphasis for us right now. But it's an area that I think there's some new opportunity, and anything to continue to support, the DNN platform base below, I think is, something that we all need to rally behind.
Yeah. But how do you feel about this idea of marketing DNN not as a CMS, but as more than a CMS, a low-code platform that happens to also have a CMS feature?
For me, I've been around DNN long enough to where it was originally marketed as an application development framework, right? And that was the more technical way of looking at it, and that didn't work and went in lieu of a CMS. But I think that the power of DNN platform is, whether it's a low-code scenario, whether it's some of the CMS functionality, whether it's integration abilities, that is where the power is. And I would agree with you that the CMS bucket is definitely constraining for the power of what the platform is. So I'm all for showcasing that you can do a lot more with DNN than just a CMS, because it's not.
Yep, totally agree. Yeah, so I will not ask that questions that you hear all the time. When are we going to transition to .NET Core?
We could go there if we want. The biggest thing I think here that is going to be relevant for you and for everybody else, the community is getting a lot of momentum. .NET Core is a really sticky situation because it can't be done and retain any existing themes or really any existing modules. So I don't know the logistics of that. I would love anybody here that wants to talk about a .NET Core future for platform, by all means, reach out to me offline. But there is huge news coming on Monday with the release candidate of 9.8.0 that I think will honestly also impact you and everything you're doing with Plan and App. And that is that 9.8.0 release candidate is going to be released next week. And it will be finally possible to remove Telerik from any DNN installation. And not lose functionality. That for us is beyond huge from a milestone perspective, and it's been a huge amount of community effort to get it done. It's been in progress for over 9 months.
Wow.
So that's kind of ever since the community is taken back over, that's been the community's huge hurdle. And I think that when we move past that, you've got your acceleration here with your low code initiatives, and we've got others doing other things. I wouldn't say it's low code. We have others doing other initiatives. We're at a place right now where the community can take in things to make everything better. And if there's a strong demand for .NET Core solutions, we can start talking about what that might look like. But we're finally going to be clear of a almost 8-year bad halo that's been following us around for years. So I'm excited to see where DNN platform continues to go, where you're going, we're getting some real positive press coming from the .NET Foundation in the next couple of days as well. We'll be the featured project in the .NET Foundation when their monthly newsletter goes out next week, which is going to be awesome for press and visibility for DNN platform. So I think we've all got bright days in front of us. Yeah,
very nice. Yeah, we didn't use Telerik at all over the years. We jumped from jQuery to Angular and Web APIs, so never got to that Telerik story. But what we found out in the past year of selling Plant an App is that most of our customers don't care. They don't care it's .NET Core or it's as long as it's maybe .NET or Microsoft. That's the level where they stop. Because our customers for low code, they are not so much into technology as they are into solving a problem fast. And if it works, if it does the job, they are very happy and they continue building other systems on that pattern, right?
And that's exactly kind of where my point is right now, right? We removed Telerik. We closed the last of the security holes that are known right now. We create a stable platform that by Microsoft has 10 plus years of support remaining. We're at a good place, which makes Plant an App at a good place, because you're right, they don't care. The .NET Core, .NET, Telerik, whatever, they don't really care. Does it work? Yeah. And is it secure? And we make checking that secure box better. And also we reduce the memory footprint by like 65, 70 megabytes, which is really nice too. So
very neat, very neat. Okay, Mitch, thanks a lot for the update. I think it's really helpful for all of us.
Appreciate it.
Cool. So we still had some other activities planning, but I really like this conversation. So I would like to also invite somebody from our team that came from being on the customer side, being inside our team and seeing all that is happening with Plant an App. So they see the both worlds. So I would like to invite Dale and Reza to speak a bit about how they see DNN Sharp compared to Plant an App, where it's going, the local space, so everything that's been going on. So Reza, do you want to start?
Sure, thanks Bogdan. Yeah, I just joined the team early February. I'd been at a Fortune 500 corporation as a technology vice president for over 10 years. Managed to get DNN in the door about halfway through that time, about 5 years in. It was very much an uphill battle. But once got in, and a funny kind of thing was that they said, hey, until we get an enterprise solution, we can do this for a minute. It was supposed to be like a 3-month thing. 5 years, it's still going. And used globally, did all kinds of solutions for budgeting, risk management, security vulnerability tracking, remediation. And somewhere along the way, I just realized this is what I love to do more than anything. I don't want to sit in the meetings and all of that. I want to build, I want to solve problems. Was going to go out on my own and start a low code agency. Flew out to San Francisco and talked to Bogdan, and I think we decided that day that we should just join forces, and haven't looked back. Best decision of my life. I believe in this team and this technology. I think that's something that gets overlooked a lot when you are making an investment. You're really investing in this team more than anything. And I've worked with hundreds of developers and people over my career. This is the best team I've ever worked with. Hungry and eager and helpful, and they believe, and they're giving it all every day. And they got a lot of grit, and I'm just really happy to be a part of it all.
Thank you, Reza. We are very happy that you are with us as well, and I'm sure the community also appreciates your work a lot. They get Reza leads our product development team, so all the updates that you get, he's the guy to blame. Sorry, the guy to yeah. So Dale, if you would like to say a few words.
Absolutely. I joined the team here over these last few months, and but I caught the low code vision 5 years ago and jumped in on buying into enterprise version of the DNN Sharp tools. And really, I mean, as I've also like one of the previous talkers had this experience of I mean, I'm a programmer since the 80s, and doing the line by line code, and I don't want to do that anymore either. I want to deliver solutions, and I've kind of focused in on. I've been a big part in the nonprofit space, and to be able to, which is very cost conscious, and to be able to deliver applications at quality applications, lower price. That really is why I got involved in using the tools, and that when, I mean, there's kind of a whole story, and we've covered it in other webinars, but when COVID came along, and I used it to develop a game even, I mean, there's just nothing that I haven't been able to get this software to do, and that proves itself out every day as I integrate with outside systems, or webhooks, or I mean, it's just getting better and better. So I'm real excited to be part of this story too.
Thanks, Dale, and again, much appreciated. We like you to be in our team, and also the community loves your videos. So maybe we'll get to show a bit of those a bit later. Your videos during this webinar, but also the feature focus video. We have a YouTube channel that's very, very helpful on that front. And I would like to invite others if they want to speak, but I also want to talk about a subject that comes over and over again. Yes, we go to sell Plant and App to enterprises, and it's always like, yeah, we already use Power Apps, or we are on Dynamic CRM, or we are looking at that. How is that better, and so on. So I would like to invite one of our future customers, Jen Sharp, which is also a very good public speaker, and I follow her blog and I like her a lot. I would like to invite Jen Sharp if she can share a few words, because she struggles with Dynamic CRM. I mean, the old one, they would like to transition to the new one. I'm not sure, and they are looking at Plant and App as being a better solution to that. Yeah, so I see Jen is in the webinar, but probably she's not
here.
Oh, hi, Jen.
Sorry. Yeah, we actually have a lot of problems with our current solution, and I have been looking at this for a while. I'm not the only decision maker here, but I'm super excited to convince our whole team that this is exactly what we need. We keep running into problems where we have to find a solution on top of a solution and sort of program around things, and it ends up being super heavy. And then if you ever have a change, you're going back and trying to figure all this out. And what I really love about the idea of this is how clean it is. It's using all of the elements and components that we are already using, but it's super clean and we have a whole lot of control over it. So we're really looking forward to getting started. In fact, I'm heading to Virginia next week to meet with our new executive director, and hopefully we can start making some progress towards this. But I'm really looking forward to it, especially the clean part of it, and just having control over it, but not having, we only have I'm director of IT, and that's kind of a misnomer because really there's one person in my department, and that's me. So this is a great space for very mid-size, not huge budget associations to be able to make a difference and control their environment. So I'm really excited about trying to do this.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to start doing some things as well, Jen. I think it will also be a very use case for everyone, because yeah, we do have to compete with these big guys that they sell not necessarily competitive technology, but they sell a brand name. So I think that's very good stories to tell. And yes, I mean, Jerry Mattox I noticed that Jen has the perfect last name. Yeah, Jen Sharp. Cool. So let's see if anyone else wants to add to this conversation. I invite any of you to say something. If not, we had something else scheduled for today, so at least maybe we get to talk a bit about the upcoming release, the 1.9 release that's going to go live hopefully this week. Reza?
Yeah, let me share my screen. Okay. So yeah, actually, surprised then, Bogdan. 1.9 has shipped. It's live out there now. We just haven't sent the announcement out, and so you can download the modules if you're DNN Sharp from dnnsharp.com. If you're an app builder, Plantain app user, you can install and upgrade everything, all dependencies, just one click. We've got a lot that went out. The big thing, and that's kind of was our haste and making sure we got out as quick as possible, was 9.7.2 compatibility, 1 and 0 as well, but the testing and focus was on 9.7.2. Haven't had any issues. Had a lot of people in the community helping us with some client testing and stuff early on. And so we were able to get this out. There's the new action that I showed a week or two ago, the read all entity action, which lets you, without having to write any SQL or anything, get back all of the items that are in one of your entities or tables. Based on that conversation and demo I had here, and got some feedback during this webinar about making sure that you could filter and order the results that came back. So we were able to get that in, and that's part of it. Thank you for that feedback. We've got one-click install of add-ons now, and I'll show a couple of these real quick once I'm done with this. And so a lot of the integrations with Stripe and PayPal and MailChimp and all of those good things are able to be installed right from within the app with a click of a button. Screen refreshes and you're ready to use it. You also, and this one, maybe if you've got, and you're used to DNN, might not seem like a big deal, but one, it's very handy, and two, you don't have to make other users administrators, full DNN administrators, but we've pulled in access to the admin logs in App Builder, and we're working in this release now, 1.10, on being able to get system logs off the files. So when you're enabling debugging and different things like that, and have more rich and robust feedback if you're trying to see what's going on. There's a major security enhancement, and this is something I did want to demo today. This will impact everybody, DNN Sharp as well as Plantain app. But essentially, your action forms where you had text fields, and people could type things. Well, they're sitting there kind of, unless you're taking actions and using that new HTML sanitization action that we put out, you're not really protected against cross-site scripting and some different things. And so that is, and there's a secure input field that's enabled by default, as well as when you upgrade the module. And this is the important part where there's a potential for a bit of a breaking change. I think 99.9% of people won't notice any difference or have any impact unless you're intending to allow people to enter JavaScript and CSS and this type of stuff in the text fields. Then you'll just want to turn that setting off, as it will sanitize automatically and prevent any of that from getting into the submission of your form and your database and that sort of thing. Like I said, I'll demo that here. We had rolled out the new date time field a few releases back. We continue to iterate on that as we get feedback and just make that more robust and easier to use. And the way I would say it is, it's really proper date time handling, down to time zones and universal time, things like that, matching up with what's in the database. If you've been using date time and calendar pickers and things for a while, you're a little bit at the mercy of, well, is that the server time? Is that the user's time? You have a lot of control here. And then just a lot of fixes and things that were coming in from the community portal and the support center, little enhancements and stuff. So there's a lot of good stuff out there. I'll be sending out the newsletter and posting some blog posts with the full rundown. Touching on 1.10 real quick, which we're working on right now, should come in a few weeks. And we can make available the release candidate early if someone wants to take a peek or they're waiting on something in kind of a beta type mode. But we've got a rewrite working for action grid, essentially turning it into a listing module. So it's not just really focused on tabular data. First big feature that's going to come out with that is that calendar template that we saw. I wanted to get that in 1.9. It wasn't quite ready yet and wanted to get out there for 9.7. So we're going to do it in 1.10. This one's pretty big. Actually, it might not seem like it, but if you know, especially in Plant an App, and if you're hosting yourself DNN, there's a lot of licensing and activation of modules. So kind of in that one-click theme of install and upgrade, you'll have one-click licensing. So just when you set up a fresh instance, you put your license in, everything's good to go going forward. Even if you install one of those add-ons or whatever, there's nothing to do there. Making it so that you can reorder the properties as you are refining and adding fields to your entities. Sometimes you just want to change the order of things. Instead of having to go to all the grids and forms and modules and change that around, you can do it right from where you define the data, and that will propagate out throughout the system then wherever those fields, the system's generating use of those. Like I'd mentioned, you'll have access to the system logs and then that KPI dashboard. We've had a lot of great reception and feedback on that, taking it up a notch and going to make it so that you can configure filters on the individual tiles, as well as having that you'll have an option to have that automatically added when you create an entity or define a data model that you want to have the tiles on the dashboard there. There'll be some additional GitHub integrations. We're always working and refining that. There was one breaking change that I didn't mention about 1.9 that we just found yesterday. When you're setting up a new instance, I guess maybe we can call, I don't know if this is a PC or not, but maybe it's the first bug that's root cause is social justice, but GitHub changed the name of their main branch that gets set up when you create a repository. It's called main now. And so we're making some adjustments in the code, and we should have a hot fix out for that later this week. With that said, let me show you a couple of things. First one here is the add-ons. So this update section, this is where if you're on 1.8 or above and going forward from now on, all you do is just hit the one button. You can check out the changelog. Obviously nothing here, and I'm not going to go up to 1.10 yet. This is kind of internal, but you say install, everything gets put on, you're good. There's hot fixes as they're made available. You'll see them right here and can install them. Like I said, the full changelog is here, and now you have this add-on feature, and there are 16 add-ons that we've made available, more coming. So you can get that there. And then wanted to show you the logs. So this is what you normally would access from the persona bar, and you kind of have that annoying thing that keeps sliding in your way, and if you don't click the X right, it keeps popping back up. And so you have the ability to search and filter. It's got kind of an infinite load and scroll going on, and anything you see here, you can just click one button, copy it to your clipboard. So if you're logging an issue or sharing this information around, you have access to that pretty easily. And this is where we'll also make the system logs available. And so real quick, onto the secure input. First, let me show you behind the scenes what this will look like in your action form modules. So it impacts any of the text fields that makes sense, right? So things like emails and phone numbers and stuff like that, they don't accept HTML and things by their very nature of what they are anyhow. But things like text, large text, the rich text, Trumbowig, those sorts of things, all the way down, you'll see this secure input. And this is checked by default. Way too much to get into right now during this short demonstration, but if you want to understand more about this, you just click the documentation link. We've got a really good rundown here. Thank you, Patrick, for this. Did a wonderful job of really explaining how this works, and you can even get access to this OWASP article that really explains cross-site scripting. And you know, in this day and age, I can't stress enough, security is so important, and we're so doubling down constantly in our commitment to not just being a great low-code platform, but being enterprise grade. And that means having really good security and keeping up on patching and just making it better. So out of the box, you're getting a lot of security here. And the thing to know is that after you install the 5.9 action form, 5.911, this will retroactively be applied during the install of the module to all of your action forms that are out there. And this setting will be set. And so should be totally seamless. You won't notice anything. You've just got a really good extra layer of protection on, unless you've got some kind of a situation, maybe you're trying to take support tickets or have a forum or something where you specifically want users to put code in. JavaScript, that sort of thing, for some reason, you can turn this off and use that sanitize HTML action that we rolled out last release in combination with each other, and things will be right as rain when you want to do that. What I've done for this demo here, and this also applies to the hidden field, I've got this hidden field. It's basically just bound to take whatever the data that's entered in the text field. So this is a server-side protection. I've disabled it on this hidden field for the purposes of this demonstration. So anything I put in the text field is going to, through the front end, the client side, be kind of injected into this hidden field. And then the secure input runs when the form is submitted. So if you're running your SQL to update a database or anything like that, that's when the secure input kicks in and the sanitization happens. I've turned it off for the secure, for this hidden field here. And let's just take a look at what will happen. And so, whoops. And so this is what we're trying to protect you against. And this is the nice version of it. So this will, essentially, when I submit this, it's going to save to the database. And I'm just going to go through and throw this into the fields that have this. Now, in this case, I'm putting it in the regular WYSIWYG side of the DNN editor, but I'll go ahead and put it in the source side of the rich text, just so you can see the difference. And so this is showing you what ended up getting put into the database. And you can see this hidden field, even though it wasn't shown on the form there, it actually has this put into it. You can see that the text field, the large text, it had stripped out everything, that the script tags and everything in between it. Now the stuff did get into the DNN text editor because I put it into the code kind of HTML of it, right? Now when we go to a view, so now I'm retrieving that data out of my database, and you can basically see that JavaScript from the hidden field is getting executed on me right now. And so this is what you're vulnerable to, unless you're taking your own actions to prevent against this. And so that's what we're protecting you against now, right? And so if I turn that secure input on, the hidden field, as it is by default, and we try this again, so no JavaScript, right? Now, you'll see that, hey, well, that's still there, but that's been sanitized and encoded, right? So it's just treating it like normal text. Your browser is not going to try to run that JavaScript. And so very important feature, and just be mindful and aware that's there. And like I said, the help is available right underneath it to understand the deeper ins and outs of how that works and how you can use it with the sanitize HTML action, where you want to whitelist or allow a refined amount of code or script in. And this will also apply to CSS because it is also vulnerable to the same types of attacks. So by default, this will cleanse and sanitize that before it's submitted into the server side. And that's it for me this week.
Thanks, Reza. It's a great release. And just to make sure, people that already have 1.8, will they see this release and click one button to upgrade?
It's there. It's there, and people are already installing it. So.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this is the power of the one-click upgrade. You don't have to go search for modules. You'll see the button in your instance, click it, and you are on 1.9. And all the DNN Sharp modules as well will be upgraded.
Same thing, when that GitHub hotfix comes out later this week, you'll just see the hotfix, you'll push it, you'll have it done.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, we reached our time. So again, I just wanted to summarize. Today, the big announcement is that we've opened this equity crowdfunding campaign. We invite all of you to invest, own a stake of the company, and contribute to our common success, and of course to your success as well, which reflects in what we're delivering for your business. One thing I wanted to point out, so this campaign is open internationally, but right now we do have a bit of an issue with card payments, so we are still waiting for them to be approved. So when they will be approved, it will be like a payment method here at the bottom. We hope to get this resolved today. So just so you know, this is the official announcement. And actually, I see that we have a new investor from since we started this webinar. So whoever that was, thank you a lot. Thanks a lot. Yeah, so I was saying that this is basically, this webinar was the official announcement of our campaign. We wanted you to know first, the community. And we'll follow up with more messaging on email about this campaign and all the information regarding that. Also, there is a discussion section here on the Republic campaign. So if you have questions regarding anything, the instrument, the financing, the goal, the vision, the numbers, make sure to put them there. So it's transparent for all investors. So thanks so much for joining this webinar, but for being part of our community for so many years. And it's been a pleasure. It's been a journey. It's been very good stories to tell. It's what gives meaning to continue doing this, the relations and building systems that generate good stories. So thank you all, and I'll be seeing you next week with our regular format. Thanks.